Some incredible premieres with some very distinguished guests at those premieres. But how do you interpret what the president said tonight based on your book, which I have read? I have actually read it, Death of a Nation, and it's excellent. Talk to me.
Well, on the movie poster, of course, we morphed the head of Lincoln and Trump. So it's kind of appropriate that Trump is picking up this theme. Now, of course, this outrages a lot of people because they think, how dare you compare Trump and Lincoln? Now, on the face of it, Trump and Lincoln temperamentally are quite different, right? Here's Lincoln. He's brooding. He's melancholy. He's philosophical. So I wouldn't say that temperamentally they're the same, but their situations are eerily similar. In 1860, an outsider candidate, a Republican, enters the race, wins it narrowly. In fact, wins it only because it's a three-man race. And the moment that he's elected, all hell breaks loose. The Northern Democrats openly called for his assassination. The Southern Democrats proved that they're willing to break the country up rather than abide a Lincoln presidency. So here we are 150 years later, and we have an outsider, Trump, who wins unexpectedly a close election. And the same party, the Democrats, go nuts. Yeah. And to this day, 2 years after the election...
They're still nuts.
They're still nuts. and so the movie looks at the themes of fascism and racism, which are the two incendiary bombs that the left is using to try to delegitimize Trump. Basically say he's ineligible to be the president, even if people voted for him.
Even if he's got, what, 307 electoral votes or whatever the number was. But why is the issue of fascism so on the tip of everyone's tongues? How does that connect?
Where do you get the license, if I may say so, to trump an electoral majority in a democratic society? There's only one place. The only analogy that works is Hitler circa 1933. Because you and I would agree that if we were living in Germany and Hitler came to power, and remember the Nazi Party was the largest party in Germany, and if Hitler was democratically elected, I think you and I would agree that would be terrible enough that we would be justified in using, quote, any means necessary to get rid of him. So the left is taking that logic and applying it to Trump.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that they say he's a racist and he's a white supremacist. So all this kind of incendiary poison is used to basically legitimize all the craziness that the left has been doing, from violence to attempts to engineer a legal coup. So our movie basically takes them at their word. We say, okay, let's look at fascism. Is it not a fact that Mussolini, the founder of fascism, was a leftist? He was a Marxist. He was a lifelong socialist. Let's look at Hitler. What's the name of his party? The National Socialist Party. Let's look at the Nazi 25-point agenda, because they campaigned on that. State control of banks, state control of healthcare, state control of education, state control of religious liberty. Exactly. No sane person can read this and say, this is on the right. And then I look at the fascism of today, the left using the weapons of the state against their opponents. I mean, the key move of the Nazis was the party is the state. Remember, the Nazi Party basically became the state.
Right.
And this is what the Democrats have been doing.
Socialism.
Yeah, and also using the state to neutralize your critics.
Okay. And now, when the police are standing down in some cases, that's neutralizing not just the critics, but it allows the left to go forward with illegal activity. And also the whole idea of shutting down free speech, vandalizing the property of anyone on the right, assaulting, creating the crowd, as Maxine Waters calls it.
I just wish, Mussolini had these paramilitary fighters called the black shirts. And I just wish Mussolini, if he were to see what's going on today with Antifa, these guys wear black costumes, they carry bats and truncheons, they beat up their opponents. The only difference between them and Mussolini's black shirts is that these guys call themselves anti-fascist, but they look like fascists, and they act like fascists.
And looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. All right, Dinesh D'Souza.